Chainsaw Man is not just a regular anime or story, it's a masterpiece that broke the rules of traditional anime. But not all changes are well received. And not long ago they announced that there would be a movie. But why does it look so different from the animation? What happened behind the scenes? Get ready, because we're going to uncover the sad truth behind this unexpected change. Chainsaw Man is a visual work, it's art. But if this was really a success, why did it change? We can see in the trailer for the Chainsaw Man movie the Kid Chainsaw, who looks completely different from the anime. In the anime, we get stunning animation, shadows, and impressive character movements. You can really see the difference. Everything felt alive, like you were really there. With all the visual art in the backgrounds, the settings really were fantastic. But why did it change? Well, it all starts in February 2021. There was a little guy named Nakayama who, after spending a lot of time with various artists from the manga world, wanted to do something different. Something unique and very, very different. Fujimoto isn't just a creator of awesome manga and someone fascinated with turning horror concepts into Chinese waifus. But you also have to know that he's a huge nerd, and it really shows in his manga. You can see it in every panel. Just look at the angles, the character poses, and the whole setting that Nakayama draws. After thinking about how he could innovate, he came up with the idea to create the manga Chainsaw Man, the Chainsaw Boy. And he himself said that Chainsaw Man wouldn't follow the conventional rules of anime. Like, for example, the protagonist, who is born with an innate talent, who was already a boss since birth. Nakayama wasn't interested in that. He wanted to follow the rules of the real world. For example, Denji is someone with debts, a social outcast who is starving and has endless debt. It's like Denji is a couple debtor, and this really feels real. For Nakayama, Chainsaw Man had to be cinema. It had to be a masterpiece, and for that he had to work with Fujimoto and the best team of animators, a team that could work full-time. And everything was working as it should. The project was taking shape, the team was overworked, and they were getting the results Nakayama and Fujimoto expected, even though it was risky. MAPPA Studio had already invested too many resources in this project. And what if something went wrong, something unexpected? Well, Nakayama really trusted himself, and he was just watching one of his greatest ideas come to life. Everything looked simply amazing. It was something different. And all of it was accompanied by a unique soundtrack, plus it had a different kind of animation. This was cinema. Every part of this trailer would give anyone who watched it goosebumps. And suddenly, on October 11th, 2022, the day of the premiere arrives, the release of this project. At that time, the only thing you saw on the internet was people talking about Chainsaw Man. It was a bomb that exploded, a bomb that no one expected, to the point that Crunchyroll crashed. The site went down completely, and all because of the people and fans who wanted to know why this was the most anticipated anime. What made it so special? Why was everyone waiting for this with so much excitement? Although not everything was perfect for this series. And of course, like everything in the world, people always get upset over minor details, over simple things. But that was just the beginning of what would come next. What was the first problem? The use of computer-generated imagery. Now, look, it's not bad that Chainsaw Man used computer-generated imagery because, in part, that's what made it unique. An anime with 3D animation that blended perfectly and harmoniously with the main story. And even though many people complained about this, the truth is it wasn't bothersome. And for many others, this went unnoticed. It wasn't anything bad, but people just make a fuss about anything. And in the first episode, we already had deleted scenes because of their content, which really was explicit. But computer-generated imagery wasn't the only problem. The Japanese audience had a problem with Chainsaw Man, and that's because they're used to scenes with lights and lots of flashes. Just think about examples like Dan the Dan or Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Both have that punk, colorful, and explosive style that the Japanese love. But Nakayama brought us something different, and that was the idea. To move away from such fantastical things and from always being so saturated with colors that keep you glued to the screen. He brought us an anime where many scenes are just people living their normal lives like you or me would. They work, clean their house, they're just living normal lives. Instead of punch after punch or explosions every 2 seconds. Here we have scenes like Aki making himself a cup of coffee in the morning. A long, slow scene that makes you pay attention and makes you say, "This really feels real." The Japanese audience disliked this, to the point that they collected signatures to request that the series be made again from scratch. And not only that, there were many comments asking for everything to be redone. Everything. Imagine for a moment bringing your dream project to life, hoping that everyone will like it, and then being told, "I didn't like it. Do it again so that this time I like it, and do it the way I want it." Seriously, that's really messed up. And it wasn't so much because of the computer-generated imagery, it was because the animation looked grayer and a bit slower. But that's what makes it good. For example, Matrix wouldn't be Matrix without that green filter throughout the whole movie, and Akira wouldn't be Akira without those slow motion scenes. Right, isn't it? Chainsaw Man is a series that brought a whole new experience to the world of anime, with that more subdued theme and not as over the top as a regular anime. And even though it didn't get the recognition that was expected at first, there's no doubt it was a success. And what was it that changed? That's right. They broke him, they finally did it, they hurt someone who was always smiling. Nakayama left MAPPA, he quit MAPPA without saying goodbye, without a word, and ended up at another animation studio. When in December 2022 we were able to see for the first time a glimpse of what would be the new movie, we saw that it was different. Now the director is not Nakayama but Tatsuya Yoshihara. And can you completely notice the change? They gave us a very different style from what we saw in the first season, although it's not bad. It's too early to conclude. You can tell that the movie sticks closely to the manga without trying to experiment with the animation. And we can't help but think that it lost a bit of its essence. Chainsaw Man was more than just a series, it was a gamble to try something different. Even though some people didn't agree, we can't deny that Chainsaw Man gave us a great story. And now we just have to wait for this new movie. So don't forget that if you liked it, I invite you to subscribe, like the video, and comment what you thought about all this change. With nothing more to say, see you next time.